Alright, so today I'm going to show you how I make a fleece blanket. I don't know if it's necessarily the right way to make a fleece blanket, but it's how I taught myself several years ago how to make it. So I get two different kinds of fleece. I typically pick a pattern and I pick a solid color and I pick a cat. He's always interested when I make these. And I kind of make them go together. This one I kind of did a contrasting color just to have some fun because I wanted the pineapples and I picked a fun yellow to go with it. I also have this cutting board. It's a mat and I've got my little cutting tool that I use to cut the fabric. And you'll see, I'll show you how I go about doing that. So those are the things that I need to make a fleece blanket. Now, do you need the cutting board and this little tool? No, the first several I made were just with scissors. And then I made enough that I went ahead and bought the mat and the tool, and it's got a couple different little blades. But I honestly don't know where they're at right now, and I like this one. So that's what we're gonna do, and I will show you the first step. So the very first thing that I do is I lay out the solid color fabric first. You need a rather large space. The fabric that I got, it's almost 2 yards, and that's because that's all they had of the pineapple fabric. So you I almost did 2 yards. It's like 1.8. Started out I think with 1.5. I typically do 2.5. Just because I like the bigger blanket, but you can do whatever yard size that you want. The next thing I do is I lay out the pattern fabric on top of the solid. I am gonna go through and I am gonna cut off this white where it says Joann's. I am gonna go ahead and cut that off, but I try to line it up the best I can. You will find that sometimes you can't get it just perfect because the fabrics are different sizes and you are using what they've given you and how they've cut it at the fabric store. All right, so now I have that cut off and now it is a cat toy for the cat. And he didn't go for it. All right, and now I'm going to kind of rematch it up. Yeah. Okay, so now I have it laid back out. And I will take my cutting tool and my board. And I use these guidelines to help me on how far to cut. And I do about an inch. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is put it like that. And you're gonna wanna cut a square out. So I typically go about 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go 5. And I'm gonna cut up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna cut up 5. And then I'll cut over. And you do have to press kind of hard. So now I've got my square cut out there. Then I'll go ahead and move it over for purposes. And then I go through and I'll cut on each line all the way up. Let's see, you can see where it's cutting. And I go through and I do that all the way around. You can see I'm still working. It does take time. And it doesn't like to cut all the way. Okay, so I am almost finished with the cutting, which the cutting is the most difficult part. Or not necessarily difficult, but it's the hardest part. It's the most tedious. Or maybe not the most tedious, but once you get this, it's easy sailing from here. So now we have the blanket cut all the way around. And now we start to tie it. So when I tie it, I'm gonna move it. We're gonna start over here. So I start at the one corner and I double tie it. And I just tie it. And I just do this all the way around. Almost done. Just gonna keep tying. And done. So now we are done with the blanket. And with these, you use fleece. You can also do it for a child. I've done it before for a child, and look, there's a cat. He really likes the blanket. And I just did one layer, and then I did about a yard, and I just cut it, and then just tied it by itself. And there you go. It's how to make a tie blanket. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.